So, the Murji', as we've been discussing earlier, one of their things was that they believed that sins have no effect on the Iman. They said actions and Iman are not related. They disconnected the two. So, they would say a sinner has the same Iman as the most pious believer. Again, something similar to the Jahmiyyah. So for them, in their eyes, na'udhu billah, the Iman of the worst sinner, the worst fasiq, and somebody who has the worst actions and has never prayed salah but claims Islam, his Iman is the same as Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Na'udhu billah. So, and from them are sects, and we will discuss the different methodologies between them. Some of them believe that anyone who says La ilaha illallah is guaranteed entry into Jannah, even if he does not believe in what he is saying. Subhanallah. So, they took, and this is again, each one of these was influenced by some external sources. For example, you will find this very closely related to the Christian methodology. You just believe. You just accept Jesus and you're going to heaven. That's it. Even if you're a murderer, a rapist, whatever bad you do, just believe. So here they had this idea, and again they would present some dalail. They would give you proof. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man qala la ilaha illallah dakhala al-jannah." Yeah? So he would say that Rasulullah said, "Whoever says la ilaha illallah will enter Jannah." Right? But now when you bring other ahadith to them that contradict their view, they would reject them. You would bring ayat of Quran and they would say, no, we have to make ta'wil here. We have to interpret this in a different manner. So Ahlul Sunnah, we don't do that. We take all of the proofs, we accept them. And then you put it forth. For example, there is a hadith of Rasulullah that explains this hadith. It says, whoever says La ilaha with ikhlas. So Sahaba asked, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, what is the ikhlas of saying La ilaha illallah? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told them that it should keep you away from all bad deeds. Of course, if somebody says the kalima in that sense and implements it in their life and it keeps them away from all bad deeds, obviously Jannah is for you. Because leaving salah and all these things would be bad deeds. So, khair, some of them also denied destiny, they denied qadar, and they are therefore considered to be a sect of qadariyah. So again, now you will see in the Murji', you will see aspects of the qadariyah, you will see aspects of the Jahmiyyah, you will see all of that coming together. So now you see how the different sects kind of work together and how they developed. While others inclined towards the views of Jahm bin Safwan, and we mentioned that these would be from the Jahmiyyah, in that the human beings are under compulsion and they're therefore considered to be a sect of Jahmiyyah. The word Murji' here comes from irja. Irja has the root word from the word meaning to postpone. When you say irja al-amr, then it means to postpone a matter, to push it away, to distance it. So the name was given to the Murji' because they deferred action, the amal, from iman. So they deferred between these two things. When the Sahaba, they took amal to be a part of iman. Right? So for example, Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, he fought those people that left zakat. Right? He fought them physically. Even though they were saying the kalima, they were saying we're Muslim, but he fought them. He said, because this is a naqs, this is a shortcoming in their iman has fallen, they have left a fard, knowing that it is fard, they have left it, and it's our responsibility to establish it. Right? So the Sahaba anhum, as we know from the hadith that we were discussing earlier of Abdullah bin Shaqiq radiallahu anhu, who said that the Sahaba of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not take the leaving on any action to be kufr other than salah. So they connected salah and iman. But here, the Murji', they separated the two. They said, amal have nothing to do with iman. So they made the actions insignificant and focused only on having the base belief and deterred judgment of the fasiq and the kafir to the day of judgment. So if you would tell somebody, this person, he drinks alcohol, he's a fasiq, they would say, don't say that. Just he's a mu'min, he is as much of a mu'min as the Sahaba and the Tabi'een and the best of them. And he said, leave judging them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on their day of judgment. So if you saw somebody worshipping an idol, or you saw somebody, worshipping a cross, you would say this person is kafir, he's worshipping an idol. They would say no. If he just said La ilaha illallah, even if he didn't believe in it, he's a mu'min, like the best mu'min, and leave his hisab to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we will explain inshallah what the benefits of these were to them. One of the issues that has to be understood is before we understand the murji' istihala or istihalal is a issue that needs to be understood. This is something that Sheikh Muhammad Saleh ibn Uthaymeen, he explained in some detail. And again, I was kind of debating between how many of these concepts should we be going over, but at least some of the basics that have to do with why the murji' were who they were, we wanted to go over in this lesson. Istihlal is the concept which was used by the murji' that said that a person believes in something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made unlawful is lawful. Yeah. Oh, well, let's continue. It's okay. Istihlal is that a person believes that something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made unlawful is lawful. What does that mean? So for our example, in our day today, if somebody tells you that you tell somebody it is haram for a Muslim to sit with a woman in khalwa, where there's a man and he's not mahram with a woman who's not mahram, and they're sitting together in close quarters by themselves, and there's nobody else there, this is haram. And somebody comes to you, bachesh, it's okay. Tell you, but it's haram, it's haram, it can't be. No, if you're teaching, it's okay. No, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said it's haram. No, it's okay. So this is to make lawful what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made unlawful. For example, it is haram for the mu'min to drink. For the Muslim, for the one who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's haram to drink khamar, to drink alcohol. But there are people today that tell you, you know what? As long as you're not drunk, it's okay. So a little bit is okay. Right? And there's other examples we'll go over inshallah. So here, there is two types. And Shaykh Muhammad Saleh ibn Uthaymeen, he mentions istihlal of the action and aqidah. So one is, for example, somebody tells you with their belief that something is not right. So this is obviously wrong. The second is somebody does an action that outwardly can show that they believe in something other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. They believe in doing something that is haram. And then there is two types of that. One is a sin and one is kufr. So the Shaykh, he gives an example. He says, for example, a person works with riba without believing it is lawful, its lawfulness, yet he persists in working with it. Then such a person does not become a disbeliever because he did not declare it to be lawful. So if somebody does haram, somebody does zina, somebody listens to music, somebody works with riba, whatever the seriousness of that sin is, even if they continue to do it, we cannot call them kafir. This is the belief of Khawarij. Right? This is the belief of the Khawarij. If they saw somebody making a major sin, they said this person is kafir. Muslims, Ahl Sunnah, the people of the middle path, we don't say this. Okay? Now, on the other hand, however, if they say riba is lawful, if somebody comes to you, and no matter who he is, and no matter how nice of a person he is, and what great manners he may have, or where he may have studied, if they come and tell you, and this is the example Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen gives, he says, if somebody tells you riba is halal, and he intends by the riba that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made unlawful, then he becomes a disbeliever. This is Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen. So he's saying, yes, akhi. So, if somebody deals with riba, right, somebody takes a loan on interest, or somebody deals in a bank, but they don't believe it to be halal, they still take it to be haram, but they deal with this sin, we cannot call them kafir. What you can say is that they are fasiq, or they are sinners, right? I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all, but you cannot call them kafir. You have to still consider them Muslim, even if they persist in this sin. But if they tell you this sin is halal, they tell you riba is halal, is jaiz, then it takes them outside the fold of Islam, because then they have made halal what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made haram.
Question, so what if someone says that it's halal only in this situation?
Allah knows best. I'm not going to get into any personalities or particular people. I'm just going to give you the base, what the ulama have said, and we'll leave it with that, inshallah. So, since if the person denies what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said and what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said, so in this situation, his istihlal, it takes him outside the fold of belief. Even if it is something if it's in the heart or the action. So there is, for example, the action is what we'll look at next. If something is an action, could it take you out of Islam or not, depending on the action. If somebody, for example, prostrates to an idol, you see somebody making sajda clearly. We don't want to have shak on people and somebody's making salah and you're looking in front of something. No. But if you go, for example, you go by Masjid Nur, there's a big statue there in the little temple next to it, and you see a Muslim go and make straight on sujood to it, clearly. We have to judge him to be kafir. Maybe in his heart he doesn't have kufr, that's between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but that action is an action of kufr. If you see a Muslim go to a church and you see him in front of a cross making sujood clearly, right? Again, so here you have to warn them, and there is 3 days of warnings. And anyway, but the point here is that here is an action that's clear. So the murji' would say no. The murji' would say even if somebody says zina is halal, he's still a mu'min. And he's a mu'min like the best mu'min you can imagine. And they would say even if you see a Muslim making sujood to an idol or a cross, he's a mu'min. You leave his judgment of kufr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You never make takfir on anyone. Basically this was their ideology. Now, it could be that there is some legal excuse, ignorance. For example, somebody becomes Muslim and they just became Muslim and they're wearing a cross and they don't know it's haram to wear a cross. We don't jump on them and call them kafir or these kinds of things. And we try to always make an excuse for our brothers, but again, within the limits that are assigned.
What if they're like really convinced of their own proofs?
So then we try to explain to them the proofs, and if what they're doing they feel is from the Quran and Sunnah, then we hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive them and keep them within the realm of Iman. But, to me, and again, it never benefits us to try to be overzealous with takfir. But to me, if anybody with sincerity wants to know the truth, they will know the truth. It's very difficult for somebody to say, to make haram halal and not have some personal gain with it. Let's take riba off the table. Let's take another example so people don't think that I'm speaking of a specific situation. For example, dating, right? It's haram to date, very clearly from the Quran, from the Sunnah, khalwa, ikhtalat, hadith of Rasulullah about the man touching with the hand of a woman, all these kinds of things. Now, if somebody really wants to know what is the ruling on it, and they look at the Kitab of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ with ikhlas, it's very clear. Now if somebody wants to go around it, they'll find a way, but then this going around is what takes you out of Islam. So if we sin, we should say, it's a sin, may Allah forgive me, it's my shortcoming, that's it. Don't justify the sin, right? Let's take a lighter example which will probably hit closer to home than most of these things with some people. Music. Music's haram. Clearly haram. If you want to look at the proofs sincerely, we look at hadith from al-Bukhari that the Rasul said a time will come where the people will make the haram halal, for example, the drinking of alcohol and the wearing of silk and listening of music. Rasul connected music with silk and alcohol, silk for men obviously. So it's very clear. Here, if somebody is ignorant of this and they listen to music, khalas, we make an excuse for them. If somebody listens and says, this is my weakness, this is my shortcoming, I'm ashamed of it, I ask Allah to take me away from it, and they listen to music, this is their sin, they're still Muslim. Right? Now somebody comes and goes, why is music haram? No, I enjoy music. Music inspirational. How can it be haram if it's inspirational? To me, music is life, and life is music, and all these useless discussions. And they make halal that which is haram. Then this is where they enter the danger zone. Now, if somebody made ijtihad and they made a mistake, then we don't make kufr on for that. This was their ijtihad, they made a mistake. But if somebody purposely is trying to